Yeah, definitely recording. Right, welcome, morning everyone, and welcome to this week's Members Weekly Group Coaching Session as part of the Personal Brand Hub. The Personal Brand Hub is a community that I've created to bring together founders that are on a similar mission to build magnetic personal brands that position them as the go-to experts within their industry by becoming energetically attractive to those that want to pay them. Now, this week we're looking at lurkers to leads, and this was a request from one of the members, and it's about turning those silent supporters into high value conversations, because really that's what this personal branding malarkey is all about. It's having high value conversations with the right people. If you want to keep yourselves on mute throughout, unless I come to you, I will try and make it as involved as I can, and I will ask questions as we go throughout, just to keep you guys engaged. And also, I love hearing your opinions too, obviously. I'll probably be talking for around, well, presenting, should I say, for 20 minutes roughly. And then at the end, write down any questions as we go through, or put them in the chat bar. And then I'll come back to them at the end. If there's anything I've missed or you want me to cover, by all means, just ask me. Don't be afraid. I haven't, there might be things in here. I've put as much information as I can in here upon reflection of what you guys wanted, but there might be things I've missed. So just let me know at the end and I'll come back and we can have a little Q&A session, a little chit chat. So if you've been here before, you will recognize my personal brand framework for founders. It's important that I repeatedly ingrain this into you guys as to what it is. The Be More You framework is also a principle, so it's about being truly you, truly authentically yourself, and that way you can attract people that are meant for you and that are right for you, whether that's clients, opportunities, talent, or funding. The Be More You is a framework, so it's an analogy, first of all, for beliefs. What are your beliefs? What do you stand for? What's your experiences? What moments can you share? Your behind the scenes. What opinions do you have around your industry? What results do you have? A bit of social proof never goes amiss. And what expertise can you bring to the table? What value can you provide to build trust? What's your why? It's really important. It seems to stump a lot of people when I ask them. What gets you out of bed in the morning? It can be selfish. It can be altruistic. But there does need to be a why. Otherwise, why are you here? Why are you, self-employed? Why are you a founder? There needs to be an emotional buy-in for your audience. Others. Now, others is one that I've been focusing on in the past week. If any of you have been keeping an eye on my content, and others is about collaborations. And I'm actually going to be coming on to it later in the session. So what collaborations can you utilize to cross-pollinate audiences? And I've been doing this actually already through some of my content unintentionally, and I'll come on to that as an example that you guys can use. And last of all, unfiltered, which sort of brings it all together, which is just dropping that professional facade and being a little bit more unfiltered. We seem to be ingrained with that professional filter through past corporate. Can you all still hear me? I've just had some settings change on my. Yep, testing, 1, 2, 3, lovely. So once those are shared consistently, you attract better aligned clients, opportunities, talent, and funding. So what's one conversation you've had in the past week that's made you think, damn, this could turn into something? Wendy, I'm going to come to you first because you're at the top of my screen. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, it was a face-to-face conversation with a couple who hadn't thought about changing bills. For those of you who don't know, I'm a utility warehouse, those dreaded utility warehouse partners. But actually, they were really open. They engaged in conversation. We spoke about their bright blue Range Rover that was in the drive, and I've got a husband who's a bit of a Land Rover straight Range Rover fan. So that was like building the rapport, and talking to them about what I was doing, and it was like, yeah, actually we'd not thought about that. So I left it with them, but I think I'm going to go back and actually just
It made,
resurrect
made
that conversation, because I think they were really sort of open.
it made you feel energized.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. James Hartley, over to you.
Yeah, so I'd done a podcast a couple of years ago with a podcast host, and we've kind of loosely kept in touch, but then he kind of
Yeah.
reached out again this week, actually been on the back of some of the content, and just said it
There
would
we
be
go.
like good to chat again and reconnect. So we've actually got a call in the diary for next week.
Oh, brilliant. There you go. Prime example. Leanne, over to you.
Hi, I suppose I'm being
Hello.
a bit out the box here, given I only got this question, about 5 minutes ago. My conversation is
Sorry.
probably with Gary,
Yeah.
about sort of vulnerability. I work as an alcohol liaison nurse for the NHS, but also I've started up my own coaching and healing business about helping people with alcohol. And I've recently had to show my own vulnerabilities, which is something I really don't like doing, and had to take some time off work due to work-related stress. And I think being vulnerable is something that I then really appreciate that how my patients and clients feel when they come to me. They then feel this vulnerability, which is something that I'm really bad at accepting in myself.
Showing. Yeah.
So I think it's made me realise going forward, just people do feel like that, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So for you, it's more personal, and that's totally fine. And
Yeah.
James and I have been doing a lot of work on that. How do people feel when you're in the room, and
Hmm.
how can you translate that into an online presence that
Hmm.
helps people get a taste of what you're actually like to work with? What does it feel
Yeah.
like to be sat in front of you, being coached by you, or you simply talking to them? Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Gary, then over to you, my man.
Hi Ben. Hi
Hey, buddy.
everyone. Um, I I attended a networking event a few nights ago, and when everyone was giving their kind of 5 second pitch, there was one guy in the room that I just kind of zoomed in on who started talking about AI automation and how he was putting this into businesses, and it just pricked my ears up, and I thought I want to speak to this guy. So I caught up with him at the end of the event, and we had a good wee chat and swapped business cards and arranged to catch up next week sometime. So that kind of it could turn into something, might not, but it's an
I like.
opportunity.
I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, collaborations, right? I didn't. I said
Mm.
specifically. So what? Thank you for listening, guys. It doesn't have to be like this. Could turn into something like I'm going to make money. This is a new client. It could be a collaboration. Could be a podcast, like James. It doesn't. Not everything has to. And this is why I love having you guys here, because you align with this. It's like it's not. It doesn't have to always be about money and clients and signing up 10K deals. That is a tertiary effect. But what collaborations could you have that expand your network, that could double your network just by having that right conversation with that right person, by going on that podcast, by having a chat like Gary with a guy that maybe they could help you improve your skills, right? We're not all amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Thank you
unlikely.
guys for being so vulnerable and for having a think about that. It's brilliant. Right, what's the real goal of all this personal branding like? Well, as I've said, the ultimate goal is not vanity. We're not here to become influencers. If you are, then I suggest you log off the call now. Building personal brands, I think there's often a tie between those that don't really know much about personal branding will often think that it's for famous people that are influencers that have come off Love Island. Well, for us business people, for us founders, it's not. It's about becoming energetically attractive and attracting the people, the right clients, and the right opportunities that are meant for us. And it's about having those genuine high value conversations with the right people. So, not wasting your time by building up such a reputation that you're attracting people that already understand your value. And you want to be sat in those front of those people that think to themselves, shit, that's the person for me. That's the person I want to, this person can help me. And now there are two primary types of people that we should be triggering those conversations with on social media. Now they can apply to face-to-face networking too. Type 1, the cold connectors or followers. If your posts or your content are gaining traction, you're starting to post a bit more consistently, perhaps it's off the back of the work that we've done together, you'll very likely receive some random requests and followers. Now, I pretty much accept most connection requests that come my way, and you'll tend to find sometimes they reach out with a cold DM trying to sell you something. If that's the case, move on. They're not going to be a client for you. But if they have, it's quite difficult to associate whether they've actually followed you off the back of the post. Maybe if it's in the past few hours or past 24 hours within making that post, then it is a very good chance that it is off the back of that post. Firstly, establish, are they even worth reaching out to? You need to delegate your time wisely. By now, you should have a pretty clear idea of who an ideal client is for you. Or, as we've been talking, are they an ideal collaborator? Do they host a podcast? Have they got a skill set that you could utilize? Have they got a massive network that you could work your way into by having a conversation and saying to that person, is there one person you know that you could introduce me to? So what do we say to those types of cold connectors? Well, use, first and foremost, this is what I'm constantly trying to preach, use the language that you use offline. You're not here to sound, quite often, I see anyway, you'll meet someone and they're very bubbly and they have unique type of language, and then you go to their social media profiles and it's about as dry as a Rivita. So use the kind of language that you use offline, online. What kind of language as well? What kind of terms do you use that make you memorable? In fact, I'm going to pick a couple of you out here. Gary, what kind of terms, words do you use that are, it don't have to be unique to you as an individual, but makes you like no one else uses them in the whole wide world? But what's something I go, oh, that's a word Gary uses? I can tell you one, but I'm not going
I don't know.
to. Folks.
Sorry?
Folks. You say
Oh,
folks.
folks, yeah, I'll say hi, folks, or hey, folks.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
That's new. It's not unique to you in the world, is it? But it is. It narrows it down to. If I ever hear that word now, I think of you, Gary.
Oh,
But that's no. It's not to blow smoke up your ass. It's to say that is to say is to say that that's your personal brand. This is why we do the exercise, 30 words or phrases. Wendy, what's a word or term that associated with you? Not unique again, but something you use quite regularly.
I think what I try and use is, I hope that helps.
Okay.
If I email anybody any information, I always finish it off with going, I hope that helps.
Is there a particular word that you might use in reference to someone that you know quite well?
No, because I'm of that age where I don't do hi lovely, hi dear, you know,
Okay.
I'm dear
Fair
Leanne
enough.
or whatever their names are, you know.
Yeah.
So
No, fair enough.
maybe
That's
you can
absolutely
tell
fine.
me.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be. Like for me, it's like if I feel there is a very fine line, especially in the English language, isn't there? I say hi lovely
Yeah,
to
you do,
yeah, right.
which is fine.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say darling. And then like to men similar age to me, I'll say mate or pal. And sometimes, you know, you might get it wrong, you might cross that line, but most of the time it's not much more memorable and endearing than going hi, right? It's uniquely associated with you. Okay, well, here you go. So here's my template. This is my template. Now, by all means, screenshot this and take it and turn it into your own words. But if it was if it was a man my age, around my age, I'd say hi buddy or hi mate. If it's a woman, I'll say hi lovely. If I feel comfortable, right? Or I'll just say their name. Hi Steve. Thanks for the connection request. Purely out of curiosity, Was there a particular reason for the connection? If you're looking to expand your network, that's totally fine with me. That's what I do. I just connect with people just looking to expand my network. I'll make sure that I support your content if I ever see it. So you're just being the nice guy or gal, right? But if you were more curious than just expanding your network, then let me buy you a coffee and perhaps I can help. Or, right, do you notice my language here? I'm putting the control back in their hands. Well, I'm making them feel safe by saying the control is in your hands. Or we can stick to the DMs. Let me know and I can send you over my Calendly link. Do not assume to send over your Calendly link. Do not just flick it across to people without permission. By asking, as I've just said, you're giving them control. And especially in these kind of situations, you want people to feel reassured that they are in control. Now they'll either ghost you or reply. There's two options here, right? If they ghost you, so be it. I don't think there's any need to follow up. You're not here to chase, you're here to attract. And in all honesty, if they are now then connected to you, they are going to be seeing your content, which is high value, which provides expertise, and which enables them to get to know you. So you're just drip feeding them anyway. And then guess what? In 3 months' time, they might reach out to you saying, or making some crap excuse. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see this message that you sent. But I've been looking at your content and it's brilliant and I'd love to have a chat, right? Type 2. Sounds like I'm talking diabetes here, sorry. That's terrible. The lurkers and the silent supporters. We've all had it. I have it all the time. I have people and I really need to reach out to these people. In fact, I'm going to take some of my own advice here. But they're first connections, okay? They like your content. They might sometimes comment as well. You either A, don't have a clue who they are, or B, they're an ex-colleague or friend supporting you. Now, A are the warmest leads because they trust you already. They've been reading your content. They know what you're about. They know the value you can provide. And so I'd highly, highly suggest that if you're not speaking to those people already, you reach out with them. You reach out to them. And you say something along the lines of, appreciate you always showing, I've got some more examples in a couple of slides. Sorry, the heavens have just opened here. Appreciate you always showing love on my posts. Fancy catching up over a coffee soon, ? Would love to hear what you're working on at the moment. Again, I'm putting the control in their hands. Or we can stick to the DMs. Let me know and I'll send over my Calendly link. In fact, I'm going to go back. James Hartley, what's the kind of thing, is that something that you would say? This is what I would say, but is there anything you would change in that to make it suit you? This message, this DM? Make it sound more James.
Yeah, I wouldn't say showing love on my posts.
Yeah.
It would probably be something like seeing you've been engaging with my posts.
Okay.
Somebody I know. It's been a while. Let me know if you want to catch up. And if it's somebody I don't know, to be honest, I haven't I haven't got into the habit of reaching out to them.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fine. But do you see there how we're not just copying my words here, we're putting it in your own words. So if you're taking screenshots of this, just make sure it's in your own words. That's what I'm trying to emphasize here. It sounds like your unique language because you don't want to meet up with them.
Yeah. And is the same true if they haven't connected, but they have liked your post and you don't know them? Then would you wouldn't reach out after they'd liked it once, right? You try and identify who's been liking it more than once.
Yeah, I would say if they're showing up consistently liking your posts, they're obviously valuing what you have to say, but they're too scared to reach out, and that's very common.
Yeah.
And the whole point that we're trying to work on with this whole coffee chat, call to action chit chat that we're doing, with my one-to-one clients is we're taking that soft approach of, look, I'm not here to sell to you, but if you would like to have a conversation and if you think I could help, let me buy you a coffee and we can see whether we're a good match or whether I can help or not. If I'm not, that's fine. And we're just reinforcing that constantly, that there's no pressure here. There's no pressure. Yeah. And Wendy, this is especially important for you with the reputation that UW have. Like they can often seem like, oh, they might be trying to have an ulterior motive here. So this kind of language, reinforcing it, like, look, control's in your hands. If you want to stick to the DMs, that's fine. But if you want to have a chat, let's have a chat. It's just saying, look, don't worry, control's in your hands. So take the conversation to the bedroom. Now, what I mean by this is if they've commented, so this is the one step further, this is the golden nugget, then take that conversation off of the public arena or out of the public arena and take it into the DMs. So if they've commented on your post before you've even thought about replying in public, why don't you drop them a DM saying, in response to that post, directly in response to that post, loved your comment, this is what I thought about it, ... or this is my perspective on it. If you wanted to chat about it, and then just carry that conversation on for a bit, have a few messages back and forth. And then by that point, you've already got a bit of a rapport. Hey, why don't we have a coffee? I've loved this conversation. Why don't we have a coffee chat? Why don't we sit down and let me buy you a coffee and we can carry this conversation on over a proper face-to-face chin wag? Yeah. And the emphasis here is that you will not pitch to them and talk about your services or program unless they ask. And I'm going to come back to this when we talk about the coffee chat structure. So here's another DM script bank. So what I would say, just very simple, super simple. This is off the back of a cold request. Hi, lovely, great to connect. What inspired the request? That could just be a nice, easy, quick one that you can copy and paste if you're getting a ton of requests off. Say if you had a post go viral, Felicity, someone I work with, had 250,000 impressions, bless her. She's got tons of connection requests off the back of that. I would suggest just sending a one-liner out to every single one of them. Or notice we've crossed paths a few times. Open to catching up over a coffee. Sort of worded that wrong there. Open to catching up over a coffee chat ? Would love to know what you're working on at the moment. Depends how much detail you want to go into. And then I'd say this is probably the best one. Just wanted to thank you for all the love and support you've been giving my content. Let me pay you back with a coffee over a catch up. Would love to know what you're working on at the moment. Or we can just stick to the DMs. Up to you. Again, I'm using that language that puts the control in their hands. Let me know what works and I can send over my Calendly link. Don't immediately assume to send the Calendly link, ask permission and give them control. These two examples here, sorry if they're a bit too small. I'll try and zoom. You can see that because I've got all the faces down the side of my screen. So Kenneth was someone I met at a networking event. And he does similar to what I do. So I reached out to him, hey buddy, and this is a collaboration, right? I've said it here. This is what you need to be doing, even if it's someone similar to what you do. Believe me, there is no such thing as competition if you've got a strong personal brand. People will choose you because you are you. Hey buddy, always keen to collab with other personal branding personal branding people. I'm a believer that what's for you won't miss, and no such thing as competition. There you go, said it. With a strong personal brand, fancy a virtual coffee chat, and he responded straight away. He was keen to have a chat. Ed reached out to me. He's like a social selling kind of guy. So again, sort of similar, but more, he's a LinkedIn agency owner. He reached out to me and I wanted to put a copy of this here because I was quite impressed. I never even heard of this guy, but I know he does this networking, right? That's where I've met a few of you guys. Hi, Ben. Our one-to-one at the Founders Network event didn't go as planned, so I thought best to add you on here to see if we could try again. And I thought that was quite clever language there. And I immediately responded and said, yeah, of course, let's have a chat. So there's just a couple of good examples there to take inspiration from. Right, the no pressure coffee chat. If you're sending if you're sending across your Calendly link, so you might be sending it across to have a, like Gary, I know you've got a strategy call with people. In your description, which is here, I want you to make it super clear that you're there to help, that you're there to ask questions, and you're there to listen. You're not there to sell. You're not going to talk about yourself for 30 minutes. I had a chat with a business coach the other day. One of my coffee chats, I'd prepared loads of questions as I do. He talked about himself for 30 minutes straight. He's a business coach. I was sat there, sort of half of me was frustrated and half of me was going, actually, this is exactly the way I want it to go. And it worked out a bloody charm. And he's invited me to collab with something. But it's just 99% of people will just sit there and talk about themselves quite happily for 30 minutes straight. And then they'll feel guilty at the end of the coffee chat. And you go, no, don't worry, it's okay. You've been talking a lot about X, Y, and Z, because off the back of my questions, I've actually uncovered some of their pain points. Why don't you try this? And I'll send them some value, and we take it from there. And I get them into one of my funnels. Ba-ching! Probably do a separate session on coffee chats. So yeah, not there to sell, not to talk about yourself, and not with an agenda. The most important thing about these conversations is it's a chance to see if you're a match. Now, with a strong person, if you're sort of in the early stages of building a personal brand, you might have people reach out to you that are not ideal clients, and you might not know that. That's totally fine. But once you do have a strong personal brand, you should be clearly demonstrating your values and beliefs so the right people find you and the right people are reaching out. You shouldn't have the wrong people reaching out to you. Then you need to take a serious look at what you're putting out into the world. But if you're in those early stages and you're attracting the wrong kind of clients, that's fine. That does happen. But this coffee chat will enable you to filter them and go, right, okay, well, actually, you're probably not right for me. I probably can't help you. You're not a good fit. Okay. Who is using something similar to this already, like a discovery call? And what does it look like? James, have you got? No, you don't, do you? Gary, you've got your strategy thing set up. What is that? We've had a bit of a look at that.
Yeah, so that's been
Much interest?
No, to be honest.
Okay, why do you think so?
I think it's the wording, to be honest. I like that softer approach you're taking. You know, a coffee chat sounds a lot less salesy, a lot less kind of, yeah, but it is business at the end of the day. And I guess, yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest, because, you know, I think the strategy session should work. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
I'm not sure really why it's not.
I don't think you should change the fact that it's a strategy session. That's fine. I just think maybe you need to tweak the description around it and also what you're discussing within that. Because, you know, I haven't sat in on a call of you having a strategy session, but I assume it should be you asking a set of questions to uncover their pain points for at least 30 minutes. And they need to be talking for at least 30 minutes to uncover what they're struggling with at the moment. Do you have time to make content? Do you find it a pain in the arse? Do you even know how to make content? Do you have the equipment? No. Right, okay, 30 minutes later, I've got this, and this. Oh, Gary, you're my angel from above. Yeah. Anyway, that's going on to sales conversation. Sorry. But yeah, so with coffee chats, the aim is to turn up prepared, because 99% of people aren't doing that. So immediately on the start of the call, oh, I've noticed this on your profile. You've instantly built trust. Coffee chats, I really should do another day, but there's a lot more to go down on this topic. Immediately build trust, ask questions, uncover pain points, and then at the end they feel guilty because they've talked about themselves the whole time. And then you send them a solution to their problem. I sometimes send them like a new about section for their LinkedIn off the back of a conversation, because I've asked so many questions that I can establish it. And they're like, oh, damn, Ben's provided a bit of value. That's great. They're going to remember me then. They might not be an ideal client, but they've now remembered me because I've given them value. And then they're going to think that I'm going to be the first person they think of when they meet someone who needs personal branding help because I've helped them. Yeah. Right. I've created this diagram earlier and I bloody hope it makes sense to you guys. Trying to get my ADHD brain out onto visuals is quite difficult. So there are two ideal outcomes of a coffee chat. I should have brought this slide up when I was blabbering a minute ago. You've nailed it with the prep and the questions. You've discovered that they're an ideal client, and they, at the end of the call, they're asking you about your services and programs. So then it's over to you. Over to you guys. That's up to you, right? Or they're not an ideal client. So this might be someone that this goes back to someone that's commented on your LinkedIn post who is an old colleague, an ex-colleague, a friend, an ex-client, and you said, been ages since we've spoken, why don't we catch up? You know they're not an ideal client. They might be an ex-client, or they might be an ex-colleague. Remember, guys, you're not for everyone. So why don't you utilize their network? So you've got your first connections, the guys, the friends, the lurkers, the ex-colleagues, the ex-clients. Once you've got them on a call, how do you then reach their second connections? And this is going to be over to you guys. I'm not going to give you any answers here. How do you reach those second connections? What questions can you ask? Go on, yeah, go for it. Go for it, guys.
Is there anyone you think I should talk to?
Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah. So
I would also at the end of the call be making sure that we had a follow-up meeting and saying, this has been really good. I've really enjoyed our session, our chat today. Can we catch up maybe next week or in a couple of weeks' time? Because then that way you've got a little bit of time to do a bit more prep. You've learned some stuff, you know, and you're going to be hopefully at the next chat trying to nail something down.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a follow-up conversation. It could be something in the diary. So I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to send you a calendar invite for 10 minutes in the diary for 1 week time. Okay, yeah, that's more like client follow-ups. But yeah, how are we going to reach those people in the second connection? So we've got, why don't you introduce me to one person that you know? Make it super specific. You notice this morning, guys, I posted about moving to Edinburgh. I didn't say, can you introduce me to anyone? You don't want that. So I've got a specific request. Can you introduce me to young founders who've got good networks up in Edinburgh? And can you specifically introduce me to university business departments? I'm being really specific. And if you ask a client or ask a first connection, sorry, an old colleague, an ex-friend, you've been looking at my content for a little while now. You've been commenting and liking on it, so you know what I do. You know what value I can provide. Is there one person in particular that you could introduce me to? It's just one person. That's all. You're not saying, can you introduce me to someone or any Dick, Joe, and Harry? Can you introduce me to one person? Or this goes back to collabs. Why don't you do a collaboration with that person? I did a post. I don't know if I posted this on LinkedIn, but I did it on Instagram. Sorry, James. But a HR consultant, for example, could do a collaboration with a nutritionist. So they could do like a workshop on well-being in the workplace. You've then been introduced to their network and they're introduced to your network, right? That nutritionist probably works with high-level make sure that nutritionist works with high-level, people that are higher up in companies, the decision makers. And if they are, you've noticed that through their LinkedIn profiles and through conversations that you've had. Bingo. Why don't you suggest a conversation with that person, a coffee chat, and let's have a chat about collaboration. And you've just completely expanded your network. So yeah, it's about, and also the most important thing about these connections from 1 to 2, the referrals, they're high trust connections. So they already trust you. You're being referred off the back of someone liking and trusting you already. That you're 80% of the way there. If you're introduced to someone, you've basically done the deal, unless they're a shit client and your personal brand's been giving out the wrong signals. You're basically 80% of the way there, because they already trust you, because that person they trust has referred them. Yeah, makes sense. So this afternoon, I want you to reach out to 3 people and book 3 coffee chats for the coming week. 1 cold connector, so someone that sent you an invite recently. You can go to your recent connections on LinkedIn. Just go to connections, and the ones at the top are the ones that have connected with you recently. Look for an ideal, maybe look for a collaborator or an ideal client, a potential ideal client. 1 lurker who's been liking all your stuff. I got loads. And 1 wild card that you've wanted to talk to for ages, or to be honest, you can send out 3 coffee chat requests to what, 3 cold connectors or 3 lurkers who liked all your stuff.